The movie begins by showing the devastating September 11 terrorist attacks. The year was 2001 when, on a fateful October 7th, 1,300 brave American soldiers were sent to Afghanistan seeking retribution. Little did they know, this would only be the beginning of an arduous journey. Fast forward to December 2019, and the number of troops had surged to a staggering 98,000. Alongside them, 50,000 Afghan interpreters had been recruited by the U.S. military, promising them a chance to request special visas and find sanctuary in the United States. These interpreters played a vital role in bridging the gap between languages and cultures. In the captivating month of March 2011, amidst the rugged terrain of Lashkar-Gah, Afghanistan, the story truly took shape. It was here that we were introduced to a group of remarkable individuals serving in the U.S. Army. Among them was the resilient and resourceful Surgeon John Kinley, a special operations soldier with a heart of gold. Joining him was an eclectic mix of first and second surgeons, each with their own unique moniker. First Surgeon Eduardo Lopez, also known as Cacao, brought his infectious energy to the group. First Sergeant Kawa Malay, a seasoned soldier, added a touch of wisdom and experience. Second Sergeants Jack Jackson, Joshua, or JJ for short, Tomcat, and Charlie Crow, fondly nicknamed Jizzy, completed this diverse and dedicated team. The story took a dramatic turn when a fellow soldier, Second Sergeant Steve Kirscher, approached John with a crucial task. Their translator had tragically lost his life in an incident just days prior, and they were in dire need of a replacement. It was at this moment that John's colleague suggested an Afghan man named Ahmed for the role. Ahmed, despite the inherent danger that came with the job, courageously agreed to take on the responsibility. His mission was to search for Taliban ammunition and explosives, a task that carried grave risks. Yet, driven by a need for financial support, Ahmed found himself compelled to embrace this perilous undertaking. And so, the search operation commenced. Their journey led them to a suspicious house, believed to be linked to the Taliban. After a thorough investigation, it became clear that the owner of the house had no association with the militant group. Undeterred, they pressed on, scouring the surrounding areas for any sign of the Taliban's presence. To summarize the events, John finds himself at headquarters, reporting to his superior, Kulin Vokes. He shares his unsuccessful search for the Taliban's improvised explosive factory, seeking guidance. Vokes advises him to persist and continue the search, emphasizing the importance of locating the dangerous facility. Later, John meets his partner, Sergeant Declan O'Brady, who provides them with their next target. The duo prepares for their mission. Meanwhile, John encounters Ahmed and shows him a photograph of a man named Faraj. Ahmed appears to recognize him. The team successfully captures Faraj and proceeds to interrogate him, offering him a choice between money or imprisonment. Their intention is to gather information about the Taliban's bomb-making operations. Initially uncooperative, Faraj eventually shares that the Taliban has been sending bombs across the country. He also provides them with clues regarding the locations where the explosive devices are being assembled. The following day, John informs Kulin Vokes about the obtained leads. They plan an ambush at 2 different locations. Gathering their team, they chart a route, deciding to head towards the first location, which is situated 30 meters away from their base. During the discussion, their colleague Hadi advises them to turn right at a fork in the road, explaining that the left path becomes impassable due to water damage during rainfall. However, Jizzy points out that the left road is not marked on the map. Hadi assures them that if they wish to expedite their journey, they should follow the right direction. With their plan in place, they swiftly embark on their mission, utilizing 2 vehicles to reach their target. When they approach the junction, Ahmed suddenly senses that something is amiss with the road. The absence of water on the road contradicts his expectations of potential flooding. He grows worried, suspecting it might be a trap. In response, John instructs JJ and Tomcat to keep a watchful eye from an elevated vantage point, while Jizzy is tasked with monitoring the surroundings through satellite imagery. Peering through their telescopes, JJ and Tomcat fail to detect anything suspicious. However, in an unexpected turn of events, John receives a distressing report. It reveals that Ahmed has turned against them, attacking Hadi. It becomes clear that Hadi, who had betrayed them, had disclosed their position and implicated Ahmed. Reacting swiftly, John demands that Ahmed release his hold on Hadi, urging him to relinquish his weapon. With tensions escalating, John receives another report indicating that heavily armed Taliban vehicles are approaching their location from a distance of 8 kilometers. Hadi, now expressing remorse for her betrayal, apologizes, explaining that her family had been taken captive, forcing her to cooperate with the enemy. Upon hearing this, John swiftly makes the decision to evacuate the troops and return to their base. Finally, back at headquarters, John takes a moment to connect with his family. He reaches out to his wife, inquiring about the progress of their automotive workshop business, seeking solace in the familiar and personal aspects of his life amidst the tumultuous events unfolding around him. The scene shifts to Ahmed, accompanied by his pregnant wife, discussing their hopes of obtaining a special visa to move to America. Ahmed assures his wife that the process takes time and advises her not to worry about it for now, attempting to alleviate her concerns. The focus then returns to the ongoing operation aimed at locating the Taliban's bomb-making facility. The team sets off towards the second target, situated 120 kilometers away from their base, with an estimated travel time of 3 hours. Along the journey, John requests Tomcat to maintain communication with headquarters due to the considerable distance, ensuring they are aware that air assistance could potentially arrive within 30 minutes if needed. Upon reaching the designated site, they swiftly initiate an ambush, apprehending the workers present. Steps forward and informs them that they have come to investigate and uncover the Taliban's explosive factory. The workers vehemently deny any involvement, claiming that it is an old mine with no activity related to explosive assembly. However, John remains skeptical and orders his troops to thoroughly inspect the surrounding area, determined to uncover the truth. Unbeknownst to them, a Taliban member who witnesses their presence hastily reports the sighting to their leadership. Upon receiving the report, the Taliban command immediately issues orders for their troops to converge on the location. John and his troops diligently score the surroundings, with snipers positioned at higher vantage points to monitor the enemy's movements. Upon entering a container, they come across a stash of firearms, confirming the gravity of the situation. Reacting swiftly to the report, John orders his troops to secure the workers, while he and a select few venture deeper into the area. Their perseverance pays off as they stumble upon the very thing they were seeking, the Taliban's clandestine homemade explosive manufacturing site. Recognizing the urgency, John instructs Tomcat to notify headquarters immediately, requesting support from the Rapid Reaction Forces. Forced to abandon their vehicles, they make a treacherous journey deep into the forest, aware that the Taliban forces, having spotted their vehicles, are now in pursuit. Despite the belated arrival of the Quick Reaction Force, they arrive only to discover a scene of devastation, with fallen comrades from both sides. They relay the tragic news to headquarters, highlighting the absence of John and Ahmed from the scene. As evening approaches, John and Ahmed find themselves in a relatively secure location, taking a momentary respite. John, overwhelmed by emotions, grapples with the grim reality that all his comrades have perished. Sensing his distress, Ahmed contemplates reaching out to offer solace, but he recognizes that this may not be the appropriate time to do so. The next morning arrived, and the relentless pursuit by the Taliban persisted. Realizing this, John and Ahmed pressed on, navigating through the dense forest. The rugged terrain posed a challenge, causing Ahmed to inadvertently lose his weapon along the way. Meanwhile, the Taliban troops remained hot on their trail, showing no signs of relenting. Reaching a lower section of the terrain, John swiftly moved to provide Ahmed with a weapon, ensuring they were prepared for any encounters that lay ahead. Continuing their arduous escape, they carefully proceeded, keeping a watchful eye. Not too far ahead, they spotted 2 Taliban soldiers. Seizing the element of surprise, they swiftly immobilized their adversaries, allowing them to proceed without interference. However, their respite was short-lived, as more Taliban forces emerged on their path. Sensing the imminent danger, they retreated cautiously, eventually encountering a larger group of Taliban soldiers. Armed confrontation ensued once again as they fought their way through the relentless onslaught. Once they managed to create a temporary sense of safety, they resumed their escape, leaving the clash behind them. In a stroke of luck, they stumbled upon an empty house and decided to seek shelter for the night. Unbeknownst to them, the persistent Taliban troops had a hunch that their targets were inside the vacant dwelling. The Taliban leader urged his men to ensure their capture alive. As dawn broke, John, who was conducting a reconnaissance of the surrounding area, was suddenly struck by gunfire. Overpowered by the Taliban forces, he was captured and forced into their vehicle. However, in a heroic turn of events, Ahmed swiftly intervened, launching an attack on their captors. In the chaos, he managed to rescue John and tended to his wounds. Recognizing the peril of using a vehicle, as it would attract unwanted attention from the Taliban, Ahmed made the difficult decision to carry John on a makeshift stretcher, embarking on a grueling journey on foot. They veered off the beaten path, intentionally avoiding areas with a high concentration of Taliban troops. Arriving at a river, Ahmed provided John with a much-needed drink, offering him a moment of respite amidst their relentless struggle. Continuing their arduous trek, Ahmed's unwavering determination propelled him forward as he tended to John's needs, ensuring he remained nourished and alive. In a stroke of fortune, Ahmed managed to reach a village where he purchased a used car. Continuing their journey, they encountered a group of Taliban militants who stopped their vehicle. Facing no other choice, Ahmed was forced to give them a ride, concealing the fact that he was harboring an American soldier and a Muslim traitor. Pretending to be a carpet seller, Ahmed cleverly disguised their presence. Unbeknownst to the Taliban, John was hidden among a pile of carpets in the back of the car. It wasn't until they reached their destination and left Ahmed's vehicle that they finally realized their oversight. Resolute in his determination, Ahmed carried on, eventually arriving at a remote tent in the heart of the desert. There he encountered individuals who were sympathetic to their cause. Seeking their assistance, Ahmed explained their predicament and offered them food and painkillers in gratitude. In return for their kindness, Ahmed exchanged his car for a cart. These civilians, who harbored deep animosity towards the Taliban, were eager to assist Ahmed. They cautioned him to avoid public roads, as Taliban patrols were ubiquitous. With hundreds of Taliban militants relentlessly scouring villages for any information about their whereabouts, they would not hesitate to kill residents and burn down villages that failed to cooperate. The chase was far from over, and Ahmed and John had to remain constantly vigilant. After a long and perilous journey, Ahmed finally arrived at a food and beverage cellar, seeking some respite. Little did he know that the Taliban fighters had also made their way there to quench their thirst. In a swift and courageous move, Ahmed managed to incapacitate the enemy of American troops who had arrived at the scene. Seizing the opportunity, he inquired about John's whereabouts and was able to locate him, ensuring that he received the necessary medical attention. Following 4 weeks of treatment in the hospital, John's health began to improve. After 3 weeks, he was reunited with his family in Santa Clarita, California. During his visit, Sergeant Declan informed him that he would be awarded an honorable service medal for his bravery. However, John couldn't help but feel that the medal should have been given to Ahmed instead. His memory of the events was fragmented, with only a recollection of waking up in the hospital. Declan, understanding John's sentiments, acknowledged that Ahmed's true need lay in obtaining a special visa for him and his family. Having successfully saved John's life, Ahmed had become a folk hero, gaining popularity and followers, except among the Taliban. Now, he was the most wanted man on their list, with a hefty bounty placed on his head. Consequently, Ahmed and his family were forced to disappear and go into hiding, despite the possibility of obtaining visas for them. The challenge now lay in locating Ahmed's whereabouts. Contact had been made with Ahmed's brother, Ali, who presumably had information regarding Ahmed's location. However, Ali refused to disclose anything until a visa was secured for Ahmed. Despite weeks of persistent efforts, John's attempts to secure a visa for Ahmed proved to be in vain. The American authorities had turned a deaf ear and made the process increasingly difficult. Frustration engulfed John as he realized the stark reality. Ahmed, who had provided protection and support throughout their escape, was now enduring immense suffering in Afghanistan. His primary concern now was to obtain a visa for Ahmed and facilitate the safe departure of Ahmed and his family. One night, as John woke up from his troubled sleep, he confided in his wife, expressing his inner turmoil. He revealed that the original agreement with Ahmed as an interpreter was to ensure the well-being of him and his loved ones. However, the stark contrast between their current circumstances and the promised protection weighed heavily on John's conscience. His sole focus now was to secure a visa for Ahmed, enabling him and his family to leave Afghanistan in exchange for their selfless sacrifices. The following day, John met with Declan, and he concluded that the only remaining option was for him to take matters into his own hands and personally extract Ahmed from the perilous situation. Declan, in turn, shared that he had connections with skilled private security contractors who could assist John in this endeavor. However, the cost of their services was exorbitant. In order to proceed, John would have to assume a new identity and background, going to great lengths to conceal his intentions. The knowledge that if the Taliban discovered John's return and his mission to find Ahmed, they would stop at nothing to apprehend him, necessitated this clandestine approach. In Tarin Kot, Afghanistan, Ahmed was at his home when he received a call from his colleague, who alerted him to the presence of Taliban troops outside, intent on arresting him. Sensing the imminent danger, Ahmed knew he had to act swiftly to ensure his survival. Meanwhile, the scene shifted back to John's place of business. With his affairs running smoothly, John entrusted the management to his wife, allowing him to focus on his mission. Determined to find Ahmed, John made the decision to travel to Afghanistan. After discussing his plans with his wife multiple times, she eventually accepted his choice. However, upon John's departure, his family assumed the worst, believing that he had perished. They felt indebted to Ahmed for saving John's life and made the difficult decision to pawn their house in order to secure a visa. With the visa in hand, John embarked on a daring mission to rescue Ahmed, driven by a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. While at Travis, California Air Force Base, John receives a summons to meet with Kulomovoks regarding an official complaint he had filed against the operator a few weeks prior. John asserts that this matter requires results, not compromises. He emphasizes that he owes his life to Ahmed and has no other choice but to secure Ahmed and his family's safe passage out of Afghanistan in his own way. John makes a heartfelt appeal to Kulomovoks, reminding him that he had saved the colonel's life 8 years ago. He implores Kulomovoks to assist him in obtaining the necessary visa, confident that the colonel is a person who reciprocates acts of kindness. John firmly believes that the colonel's support is crucial in this endeavor. Returning home after the meeting, John finally grants his family permission to accompany him to Afghanistan. John arrives at Kunduz Air Base in Afghanistan, where he meets with Parker, the leader of a private security contractor team. In order to maintain anonymity, John assumes a new identity and goes by the name Ron K. Parker is aware of this change and acknowledges him accordingly. Parker informs John that he has made contact with Ali, who knows the village where Ahmed is believed to be. However, due to other obligations, Parker himself cannot accompany John on this mission. A senior official at the airbase assigns Parker another task: to rescue a United Nations diplomat and their team who are in immediate danger. John emphasizes the importance of professionalism and respecting the agreed-upon contract. After their discussion, Parker provides John with a fully equipped vehicle for his journey. If John manages to locate Ahmed and his family, he is to contact Parker, who will then arrange for their safe extraction and return. Eventually, John meets with Ali, who reveals that Ahmed had spoken highly of John in their previous conversations. Ali also discloses that Ahmed had become involved in various business dealings with the Taliban. Since the incident, Ahmed has become the most wanted person by the Taliban, with a substantial bounty on his head. Overwhelmed by guilt and indebtedness, John has come to Afghanistan with the sole purpose of rescuing Ahmed. In light of their conversation, Ali offers to arrange transportation for John. He assigns a trusted driver who possesses the necessary permissions to navigate through Taliban checkpoints. At the first checkpoint, John and his driver skillfully evade detection, managing to continue their journey undetected. However, as they approach the second, more stringent checkpoint, they are compelled to stop and undergo a thorough inspection of their truck's contents. The tension rises as their fate hangs in the balance, but they persevere, passing through and resuming their drive as nightfall descends. During their arduous journey, a glimmer of hope emerges as Colonel Vokes contacts John with uplifting news. Vokes shares that he has successfully secured a visa for Ahmed and his family. In a heartening turn of events, Vokes has entrusted the visa to Parker, ensuring that the necessary documentation is in place for their safe passage. The following day, John and his driver finally reach their destination, confirming through a telescope that Ahmed is indeed present. John immediately contacts Parker to inform him of their successful find. Hearing the news, Parker instructs his team to track and secure Ahmed's location, while also revealing that the nearest extraction point is the Duranta Dam, located 2 kilometers to the east. With time of the essence, John is given a strict 2-hour window to bring Ahmed and his family to the pickup point. Without delay, John approaches Ahmed and warmly greets him. Ahmed is taken aback by John's unexpected presence. John reassures him that he has come to rescue Ahmed and his family, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Unbeknownst to John and Ahmed, a lone Taliban fighter has been trailing them, and their presence has been reported to the Taliban chief. Upon receiving the information, the Taliban chief swiftly mobilizes troops, directing them to converge on their location. Back at the headquarters, Parker receives a critical report. Upon examining the Taliban's search list, he comes across a photo of Ron Kay, only then realizing that Ron Kay is none other than John Kinley, the highly sought-after individual along with his friend Ahmed. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Parker swiftly directs his team to contact the United States military stationed at Bagram Air Base, urgently requesting them to prepare a heavily armed Hercules aircraft. When the group hurriedly made their way toward the pickup point at the Duranta Dam, the relentless Taliban troops closed in on them. The Taliban leader, determined to capture John and Ahmed, directed his men to converge on the pickup location. The tension escalated as the Taliban drew nearer, their pursuit growing increasingly fierce. In a desperate turn of events, they'd found themselves trapped on a bridge, devoid of ammunition and vulnerable to the oncoming onslaught. Surrender seemed inevitable, and it appeared that their struggle would come to a devastating end. With the Taliban forces closing in and gunfire erupting around them, their driver fell victim to the bullets, rendering him unable to offer any further assistance. Ahmed and his wife could only offer prayers while resigned to their fate, their faces marked by the weight of surrender. John, overwhelmed by a sense of helplessness, could do nothing but bear witness to the collapse of all his efforts and perseverance. However, just as all seemed lost, reinforcements from the United States Air Force arrived in the nick of time, swiftly neutralizing the Taliban forces. Soon after, Parker and his troops reached the scene, bringing a renewed glimmer of hope. They were transported to safety via helicopter, and Parker presented John with a visa for Ahmed and his family. The helicopters would transport them to the base, where waiting cargo planes would soon carry them back to America. With the arrival of the rescue mission and the successful evacuation of John, Ahmed, and his family, the movie concludes on a note of redemption and triumph over adversity. The moral of the story is that when in doubt, always bring extra snacks for a wild adventure. They might save the day.